So we used to buy things, now we buy access. And I think somewhere along this weird timeline we live in, we was not told the rules that change. So I do be thinking about the whole Sony controversy. And after a few extra miles on the treadmill, there's one recurring thought that keep recurring. I don't think this started with Sony. It's been quietly happening for years now. Songs were changing after we bought them, films being rewritten, games disappearing from shelves and from our libraries, digital licenses replacing ownership. I think the uncomfortable question that comes with all of it is exactly when did buying something stop meaning it was actually yours? So thanks for tuning in. I'm Bishop, a part-time narrator, full-time liability. And this is your friendly reminder that, along with Miss Shirley Bassey, to me it seems quite clear that it's all just a little bit of history repeating. So trip down memory lane, we've been watching this happen for decades now. It's just the dots are a lot easier to connect nowadays. It didn't click until now. The funny thing is that the Sony situation reminded me of a few things happening a few years ago. At some stage, I was buying songs on iTunes. Weird flex, I know. And this wasn't streaming or renting. I was getting the digital collection together. And I remember going crazy getting all the Burnout 3 Takedown songs. If you know, you know. And I was listening to that stuff on repeat. And one of the songs was Always You by Amber Pacific. Great tune. Now, one day when I got into the bridge, something was immediately off. I got an example here. So listen to this beat from the OG version, the version that I listened to dozens and thousands of times. And this is the bit that was replaced with. 100% not the song I bought. I could tell it instantly. The part that really bothered me wasn't that the new version existed. Listen, I think sometimes artists record things and remaster or whatever. Fair enough, I don't give a shit. What pissed me off was that my version was removed. They made a new version and then they replaced the one I own. And I was so pissed off. And at the time, I remember that I went back and rebought the original again. Hindsight is 2020, I know, but think about how mad that is for a second. I paid for a song, it changed, and then I had to pay to get the version I already bought back again. That's insane. No one could help me with this. At the time, I was like, bit shady in it, and I just got on with my life. €1 or whatever it cost me. I never connected into anything bigger. Now, fast forward a couple of decades, and all these Sony digital ownership, physical media, stop killing games, Ubisoft removing stuff, licenses changing. Listen, people asking, how did we get here, bro? And I don't think this happened last night. We've been walking into this direction for years now.
Please, that ankle. Yeah, Oscar.
Yes, I bet you have.
That ankle. Yeah, Oscar.
Yes, I bet you have.
McClunky.
So if you don't know what I'm talking about, George Lucas was known for continuously revisiting the movies, releasing special editions and adding CGI and altering scenes. Dude, if you want to make a director's cut, go ahead, make one. My beef is when they quietly replace the thing people originally fell in love with in the first place and do so in a destructive way, so much that the original is no longer available for consumption, I suppose. So I'm sick and tired of seeing people look back at a game from, I don't know, 20 years ago or a film from the 70s and then just laugh and say like, oh, it doesn't meet today's standards. This is dog shit. Dude, oh my God, Wright brothers, right? They're playing. Are we going to complain it didn't have Wi-Fi? No wonder it was shit. Rip bozos. You know, if we keep replacing every original with a newer version, there's going to be one day someone's going to be asking, what was the original actually like? And then I don't think there's going to be an answer. Like, remember when Xbox announced always online and these heavy digital restrictions? The internet lost this collective shit. PlayStation stepped in and was like, "No, we ain't doing that." Now, are we not? It's like someone respected the old agreement. It turns out that agreement was on its legs out because nobody owes anybody anything. Sony doesn't owe me games. I don't owe Sony my wallet. I think the deal is you cook the meals we want to eat. And so we keep coming back to the restaurant. You don't change the ingredients after I order the meal. That's betrayal. I think this whole reaction is not just the PlayStation decision. I think somewhere in the back of people's minds, they realize this has been happening for a very long time. And everyone can see the whole 3-4 moves ahead nowadays. Maybe we didn't years ago, but nowadays we can. I tell you this, people laugh every time I leave the house. Phone stays sitting on the table. You're not bringing your phone? No, I'm not. And I grab my trusty old mini disc player instead. And they're like, listen, the 90s called. Were those even ever a thing? That shit is very ancient. It's like, listen, I don't bring this because nostalgia. I mean, they're cool. Like, I think that they're really cool. But I carry this because when I press play, Gojira starts playing and it's just Gojira. Exactly the way I bought it. Nobody can push a notification between tracks, update the recording overnight because they think this sounds better, or decide that actually the version that I bought doesn't exist anymore and they don't want it to exist. It's kind of looked like I was clinging to old technology. And if you think of it, I think I was just clinging to my track. I tell you what, boys and girls, when a tornado comes in, he won't stop and ask what color your car is before he sucks it into his guts and farts it out in the sky. I think music, films, games, books, software, photography, I got sick of writing examples. It doesn't matter. If ownership slowly disappears from one medium, eventually it's going to reach all the other ones as well. And then Bish with his stupid mini disc doesn't look quite so weird anymore now, innit? Now, I tell you what, let me be clear. I do not hate digital. I'm not like everything was better in the old days kind of way. It wasn't. Some things were, some things definitely weren't. Moving forward with things shouldn't require us to erase where we came from, because history isn't something you tidy up once every few couple of years. Even though it's messy, sometimes very fugly, outdated and wrong and whatnot, it kind of leave it where you found it, because that's what history is supposed to be. We don't learn from these polished versions of yesterday. We learn from yesterday, exactly as it happened. This whole thing is way bigger than games, if you ask me. Today's PlayStation, yesterday was music, before it was films. Who knows what tomorrow is? What we even doing here? What are we even doing? Do not preserve history. Instead, rewrite it times enough until it becomes easier to sell. Is this what we're doing here? This is insane. Tech doesn't stay still. I'm not asking the industry to stop moving forward and all of a sudden stop printing discs because they're deprecated or whatever. But I say we can't really forget where we came from. This is the lore part that Corpus forget we vouch for. Every game and film and mini discs and whatnot, these are all little pieces of history. And if you start replacing it, sometimes quietly, instead of preserving it, we don't just lose the product. I think we lose the story, how we got here. I tell you this, I'm gonna continue bringing the mini disc along and refuse to play for a sub. Everyone streams everything on Spotify. I refuse to do that. You do you, my dude. I do me. And this whole thing almost doesn't sound to me as plastic boxes or shiny DVDs or whatever. I think it's all about trust. It's all about knowing that when you buy something today, it's still gonna be the exact same thing you bought tomorrow. And you have the right to own it, because you pay for that shit with your hard-earned money. Sick of talking about all this. Now, thanks very much for riding shotgun. Bish signing out.